What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Rawstocks. This is Rustic. Today we're going to be taking a look at Tesla's chart. We're going to look at where price came from, where price ended today, and where price is likely to head tomorrow and into the rest of the week. Before we get started, don't forget to check out the description below. We got a link to the Rawstocks website where you can find more information about the trading Discord, how to join for free, how to become a premium member, the different price plans we got. So don't forget to check out that. The link is in the description below. We're going to be taking a look to start with the weekly chart. Don't forget, Wednesday is closed. It's a holiday for trading. So keep that in mind when you're taking your options contracts. It's going to be an accelerated week. We got trading tomorrow, Wednesday off, then we're back at it Thursday and Friday. So we got the weekly chart pulled up. I didn't do a weekend update yesterday. So we're going to already have today's price action. But if you look at last week's trading, right, we ran a test on that liquidity that's in these lows from early May. We had a false breakdown of this support line, this trend support line that formed our triangle. We got two different, triangle resistance lines. One's more aggressive, one's less aggressive. You can see we ran a test of the high. We broke down, false breakdown below the low, ran out the liquidity. Right, we ultimately closed up a little last week. Now this week started. We saw it dip down just a little bit, and we'll see that on the lower time frames. And then we saw a nice big push up. Ended the day 187.44 was the official close after hours. So pretty nice look on Tesla. You can see we're running a test of that buy side wick. And then above that, we got levels at 194.08. We got levels at 198.42. We got levels up at 254 cents. We also have a weekly 200 period that's coming in at 196.54. That's likely to offer some kind of resistance, even if we pop up a little bit to a level. 200 period on any time frame is going to be our strong support or our strong resistance. So we're likely to see a test of that 200, potentially reject a little bit, and then maybe in following weeks or maybe even this week make a push on that 50 period that's declining, and we got 100 period above, up at right now 209.58, give or take. And so right now the 50 and the 100 are above the 200 period. So interesting look we got here with the 20 period being below and the 50 and 100 above, right? And so what we want to see is we want to see that 200 get tested and then broken through. See this 20 period move up over the course of the next 4 weeks, probably or so, cross over that 200, right? And then start to cross that 50 in that 100 period. But this is the weekly chart, so it's going to take some time. We're looking at like July, maybe August, before that could be a potential. And even longer if we find ourselves still stuck in this triangle pattern, right? We haven't broken out of this less aggressive resistance. So we still have a triangle. Today we ran a test of the more aggressive resistance line. The more aggressive one is connecting the tops from late April week to the current week and to last week. The less aggressive one is from February 26th week of, tested once end of April, right? And then we have not tested that less aggressive trend line yet. And that's going to be when we push up to that 200 period. Could happen this week, could happen, next week or even the following week after that. So let's drop down into the daily chart. Daily chart, you can see we have a target there. You'll see where that comes from on the low time frame. But on the daily chart, you can see on Friday, we ran a test of that 50 and that 100, or that 50 and 20 period on the daily, right? We had gotten back below the 100 period after we popped up. What this looks like is just a massive manipulation move after the vote came through. We saw that gap, and then we just got selling on Friday, right? Closed the gap, liquidated, probably some retail positions that had gone long and got scared out. Then they ripped it back up today. Right, we got some other levels in here. We'll talk about those in a minute, but you can see we ran up to that target and we came down a little bit later. But above the 20, above the 50, above the 100, going to run a test on that 200. That 200's up there at 197.39, so right around that same level as our weekly. And so definitely a lot of reason. You can see also right there, right where that 200 is we have that resistance, that less aggressive resistance line. So if we start to see a push up Tuesday or Thursday, we could be anticipating that we're going to run at this level, 193.98 or 194, and then run a test on that trend line, that 200 period. As long as we can stay above the 100 period here. If we drop below the 100 period again, we're going to come back down and we're going to test these 20 or 50 period moving average. But right now RSI is in the favor on the daily, right? And we're above 3 of the 4 moving averages. So things look pretty good to make that push up near that 200 level. We have strong gamma levels coming in at 200 as well, overtook the 185s. And so definitely a reason to push up to that 200 level and give it a test. Drop into the 4-hour chart. 4-hour, we get a nice bullish fair value gap. Wouldn't mind seeing that drop down a little bit and test that fair value gap, right? On a 4-hour time frame, consequent encroachment comes in at 182.25. You can see where this level comes in when we look at some even lower time frames, but wouldn't mind us dipping down, one more test or a couple candles, depending on the chart. These are 4-hour charts. See if we can drop back down into that fair value gap and then see us rally up. You see we got on the 4-hour chart an order block right here, 201 to 205. And so that's what I think our target's going to be, where we're probably going to see a nice rejection. Again, it could overshoot some of the other moving averages on the other time frames, which would then look really bullish. And then we hit that order block, which isn't going to be on retail charts. Find that rejection there. Right, it'll look like we broke over 200 when we get there. Now we entirely could just shred through that order block and act like it doesn't matter, but typically what we see is we see resistance in these order blocks the first time we take a crack at it. So what that would look like if we drew a little path chart out, right? Maybe we pop back down if we're lucky, right? Run into that order block. I'm gonna turn this white so you guys can see it. Maybe back test. Maybe there's a fair value gap in here. Back test something, right? And then make that move higher to maybe take out that order block, or maybe we just get straight rejected and we come back down and close this fair value gap, right? A couple different ways that could look depending on. Other scenario, we don't drop back down into that fair value gap. We make it just an aggressive push up, false breakout of the 200 level, drop back down into that fair value gap, right? Maybe even as low as testing this order block, right? But we do have a fair value gap here and here. Both of those can offer resistance, or we could come back down, test that trend line. It's going to be down in the 170 range. So that'd be the bear case scenario, right? Even if we made that move up. Now, straight bear case scenario is if we just don't take a higher high, right? We reject this resistance line. That's the more aggressive one, and we fade back down, right? And that fade back down could stop us in either of these fair value gaps on the 4-hour time frame, or could fade all the way back on a 170, see if that order block holds. Right now, we got a flattening RSI on the 4-hour, but we're above the 50, and so we do have room to push up, right? And we might see that just blow out real quick, not give the bulls really much chance to enter. So we'll just be watching that to see what happens. 1-hour chart. 1-hour chart, we get a fair value gap, 2 different ones from today. You can see that's where my levels come in. 183, consequent encroachment of this 1-hour fair value gap. 179.31, consequent encroachment of this fair value gap. We got some levels. We got an order block down below back at 160, 167 and a half to 169, we'll say. So if we gave up these fair value gaps, drop below the low, we could push all the way down to that level. Now we have another order block here up around that 205 area, same area as we saw the 4-hour order block. So if we start pushing up, it's likely we're gonna end up in that 1-hour and 4-hour. So I'm gonna guess closer to the 203.68 before we see that rejection. But we do have, again, moving averages right below that on high time frames that could offer the resistance that we'll see first, and then maybe a push up into the order block. So a couple different things we got to be paying attention to on the high time frames. Last, we'll look at the 15-minute chart. 15-minute chart out of the gate, we get a fair value gap and we never really retest it. So there wasn't a whole lot of opportunity to enter those positions. We'll look at the 5-minute chart too, but you see that fair value gap, the next candle here, 10 o'clock candle, doesn't dip down. We catch that massive silver bullet up, right? We get another fair value gap, doesn't drop back down into it to retest. We get a little bit of dropping during the lunch hour, and then we punch up and consolidate into the rest of the day. There you see the target. Target was where we were trimming positions on the 200 calls that were for September, October, and August. So peeled off on a first level that was up around here. I deleted it already. We peeled off some here. We peeled off some more here. Only have a few runners left. I think a total of 5 or 6 contracts between the 30 contracts or so that we had. So peeled off a lot, looking for re-entry as we come down to 183, potentially 179 and some change. right? We'll be starting to build another position if we drop back down into those levels where those fair value gaps are. Last thing we'll look at again is the 5-minute chart. 5-minute chart gives us a similar look. Didn't give us a whole lot of opportunity to re-enter positions. Big 5-minute fair value gap. We get one candle that dips down into it, not even a consequent encroachment. Okay, then it just starts to rally up. We see some big moves, some more fair value gaps. At that point in time, RSI is overextended. So you start to see this divergence setting up, right? And we get the divergence here, and then RSI fades, but the price doesn't, right? We respect that 20 and 50 period moving average on the 5-minute chart all the way into close. Even when we get a little bit below the 20, we respect the 50. Once you cross the 50, you could look for price to come back down to, you know, the 100 and 200. But we didn't get that on the 5-minute chart. So it just kept pushing up, even though we get bits of consolidation, just kept pushing up. So nice day for Tesla. Again, didn't give us a lot of entries for like some weekly positions. So that's why I didn't take any. You know, ended up taking an Nvidia and a QQQ call on the trading Discord. I called it out for the premium members. QQQ paid out, I think, like 25%. Nvidia is currently down a little bit, but Nvidia has some high gamma levels up at 140, and we took the 140 calls. So looking for that to make a run on the gamma levels. Now, if Nvidia starts to fade, or starts to rally up towards that 140, we could look and see if Tesla is, fading at that point in time. Because a lot of times right now, if Nvidia is going up, Tesla's coming down. If Tesla's going up, Nvidia is coming down. So you just never really know. Sometimes Tesla is going with the market. Sometimes it's going without the market. Today, QQQ, take a quick look at that. You can see QQQ is just kind of blowing out. Target on QQQ 495.18. We passed that 2 standard deviations there, right? Pushed up. We're looking for that 495.18, maybe in a week, maybe this week. This is a daily chart, but that's where I would say we might find our next point of rejection. You can see as we approach that 2 standard deviations, we had a daily candle close below it. Then we gapped up, came back down and tested it with a wick. Right, and since then we've been rallying up. You see these moving averages starting to get pretty extended off the moving average. So I'd expect we might see a blowout move to that 495.18, maybe 1-2 days, right, where the candles. I think we'll see that big move up, and then I think we'll either set up a little divergence and maybe run a test on it, or just straight fade down to wherever our moving average is at that point in time. Could also see some consolidation, like this little back and forth. Still tradable in a chop range. But that's what we've seen a lot of as we've pushed up with QQQ, is we see these pushes, see a couple days to a couple weeks of consolidation, let the moving averages catch up, and then continues to go higher, right? The indexes have just been incredibly bullish. Same thing here, SPY, right? We saw that push up today. It's not doing as well. This is a 1-hour chart. Let's take a look at the daily. Okay, daily looks a lot better, right? There's our 2 standard deviations on SPY. Right, we kind of tried to push up, we rejected, we've now pushed through it. Let's see, our 3 standard deviations is going to be at 561.41. I don't think SPY is going to get there where I think QQQ is going to get there. And then I think that SPY is going to find its weakness, right? As QQQ tops, SPY is going to be the one that doesn't hit its target. And then we're going to see SPY start to roll over probably before QQQ does. So I think we'll probably end up, if I had to guess, probably end up with a lower high, right? As we push up, pull back, try to push up again, wherever that may be. I think SPY will see a higher high, lower high, and I think QQQ will see the higher high, right? And then potentially like pull back, higher high, and then drop down from there. So be looking for SPY to have the weakness out of the 2. But either way, I think we're going to see a little bit more push up on the indexes. And the very last thing we're going to look at today is Nvidia. And Nvidia, let's pull up the daily chart. You see Nvidia has the 6 standard deviations up at 136.70. You can see a down day here, right? As RSI is starting to roll over. I think we're going to continue to push up. I think we're going to make a run at this 136.70, right? And then we got some fib levels here from a lower time frame, where we could hit some standard deviations on the way up. But that's kind of what I'm looking at. We'll look at the 1 hour on Nvidia real quick as well. So you can see we hit that bottom, tested the 50 period, popped back over the 20 period, faded it a little bit. We're below the 20 period. Now, if this 20 period on the 1 hour can't hold us, because you can see we're right back at the 50 on RSI, we're flattening out. Right, so what we could easily see is another push up to make this run at that high gamma level of 140, right, which is in between some of our standard deviations, or right at our 5 standard deviation here of this fib level from today. But if this 1 hour 20 period, we can't get back above it, right? This is the new week opening gap range here from 133.26 up to 133 or 131.26 up to 133.10. If we can't get back above that new week opening gap and that 20 period, we're going to push down, and we're probably going to push through this, because you can see as we've had a ascending 20 period, now our 20 period's flattened out and actually started to curve down. So if that 20 period drops us down to 129.86 or below the low of today, 129.22, we're going to likely run a test of 126.95 or wherever this 100 period on the 1 hour is. Below that, we could even run a test down to 121.57 or wherever that 20 period ends up as well, or that 200 period ends up as well, as it's ascending up, right? So definitely want to see Nvidia push back over this 20 period and start to rally up towards that high gamma level of 140.68, or the gamma reading comes in at a 140 contract. So that's what I got for you guys today. Hopefully that's been helpful. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get you a video out on the weekend. Was spending time with my kids over Father's Day. But definitely looking forward to the rest of the week. Again, don't forget, Wednesday is a closed trading session. Also, don't forget to go check out our website, rawstocksllc.com. More information about the trading Discord on there. Free to join. Premium members get call outs, black box stock, live data, and all kinds of other stuff, as well as a private chat room just for premium members. So check it out and continue to grow. Don't forget to share with your friends, like, subscribe. I appreciate the support, and we'll see you guys on the next one.